1 Samuel 1. There was a man from Ramathaim-Zophim, from the mountain of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, the son of Jeraham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tu, the son of Zuph, an Ephrathite. And this one had 2 wives, the name of one was Anna, and that of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Anna did not have them. So this man went up from his city from year to year to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of hosts in Shiloh, and there were the priests of the Lord, Hophni and Phinehas, the 2 sons of Eli. And it came to pass on the day that Elkanah sacrificed, he gave portions to Peninnah his wife, and to all his sons, and to all his daughters. But Anna gave an excellent part, because he loved Anna, although the Lord had closed her womb. And her rival teased her excessively, to irritate her, because the Lord had closed her womb. And so he did from year to year. Whenever Hannah went up to the house of the Lord, the other annoyed her, therefore she wept, and would not eat. Then Elkanah her husband said to her, Anna, why are you crying? And why don't you eat? And why is your heart bad? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? So Anna got up, after they ate and drank in Shiloh, and Eli, the priest, was seated on a chair beside a pillar of the temple of the Lord. She therefore, in the bitterness of her soul, prayed to the Lord, and wept bitterly. And she made a vow, saying, Lord of hosts, if you look kindly on the affliction of your handmaid, and remember me, and do not forget your handmaid, but give your handmaid a male child, I will give it to the Lord all the days of her life, and on her head I will not razor will pass. And it came to pass, as she continued to pray before the Lord, that Eli watched her mouth. For Anna in her heart spoke, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard, so Eli thought she was drunk. And Eli said to her, How long will you be drunk? Take your wine away from you. But Anna replied, No, my lord, I am a woman troubled in spirit, neither wine nor strong drink have I drunk, but I have poured out my soul before the Lord. Do not therefore take your handmaid for the daughter of Belial, because of the multitude of my cares and my grief I have spoken until now. Then Eli answered, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant you your petition that you made to him. And she said, Let your handmaid find favor in your eyes. So the woman went her way, and she ate, and her countenance was no longer sad. And they rose early in the morning, and worshipped before the Lord, and returned, and came to her house in Ramah, and Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her. And it came to pass that, after some time, Anna conceived, and gave birth to a son, whom she named Samuel, because, she said, I have asked it of the Lord. And that man Elkanah went up with all his household to offer the yearly sacrifice to the Lord and to fulfill his vow. But Hannah did not go up, but she said to her husband, When the boy is weaned, then I will take him, that he may appear before the Lord, and there he shall abide forever. And Elkanah her husband said to her, Do what is good in your eyes, stay until you wean him, then only the Lord confirm his word. So was the woman, and she gave milk to her child, until she weaned him. And having weaned him, she took him with her, with 3 calves, and an ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord in Shiloh, and the boy was still very young. And they slew a calf, and brought the boy to Eli. And she said, Ah, my lord, may your soul live, my lord, I am that woman who was here with you to pray to the Lord. For this boy I prayed, and the Lord answered my petition which I had made to him. Therefore also to the Lord I committed him, for all the days that he lives, for the Lord was asked. And there he worshipped the Lord. 1 Samuel 2. Then Anna prayed, and said, My heart exults in the Lord, my power is exalted in the Lord, my mouth is wide over my enemies, because I rejoice in your salvation. There is no saint like the Lord, because there is no other besides you, and there is no rock like our God. Do not multiply haughty words, nor do arrogant things come out of your mouth, for the Lord is the God of knowledge, and by him are works weighed in the balance. The bow of the strong was broken, and those who stumbled were girded with strength. The full were rented for bread, and the hungry ceased, even the barren one gave birth to 7 children, and the one with many children became weak. The Lord is the one who takes life and gives it, he brings him down to the grave and brings him up again. The Lord impoverishes and makes rich, he lowers and he also exalts. He raises the poor from the dust, and exalts the needy from the dunghill, to make him sit among princes, to make him inherit the throne of glory, for the foundations of the earth are the Lord's, and he has settled the world upon them. The feet of his saints will he guard, but the wicked will be silent in darkness, because man shall not prevail by force. Those who contend with the Lord shall be broken to pieces, from heaven shall thunder upon them. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth, and he will give strength to his king, and exalt the power of his anointed. Then Elkanah went to Ramah, to her house, but the boy was serving the Lord, before Eli the priest. But the sons of Eli were the sons of Belial, they did not know the Lord. For the custom of those priests with the people was that, when someone offered a sacrifice, while the meat was cooking, the priest's servant came, with a three-pronged fork in his hand. And he put it in the boiler, or in the pot, or in the cauldron, or in the pot, and whatever the fork took away, the priest took for himself. So they did to all Israel that went there to Shiloh. Also before they burned the fat, the priest's boy came and said to the man who sacrificed, "Give this meat to roast to the priest, because he will not receive boiled meat from you, but raw." And when the man said to him, "First burn today's fat, and then take as much as your soul desires," then he said to him, "No, now you must give it, and if not, I will take it by force." Therefore, the sin of these young men before the Lord was very great, because men despised the offering of the Lord. But Samuel ministered before the Lord, being still a young man, dressed in a linen ephod. And his mother made him a little tunic, and from year to year she brought it to him, when she and her husband went up to offer the annual sacrifice. And Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife, and said, "The Lord give you offspring by this woman, for the petition that you made to the Lord." And they went back to her place. So the Lord visited Hannah, and she conceived and bore 3 sons and 2 daughters, and young Samuel grew up before the Lord. But Eli was very old, and he heard all that his sons did to all Israel, and how they lay with the women who gathered in groups at the door of the tent of meeting. And he said to them, "Why do you these things? For I hear of all this people your evil deeds. No, my children, because this report that I hear is not good, you cause the people of the Lord to transgress. Man sinning against man, the judges will judge him, but if a man sins against the Lord, who can plead for him?" But they did not listen to their father's voice, because the Lord wanted to kill them. And young Samuel was growing up, and he was pleasing to the Lord as well as to men. And a man of God came to Eli, and said unto him, "Thus saith the Lord, Did I not indeed manifest myself to thy father's house, while they were yet in Egypt, in the house of Pharaoh? And I chose him out of all the tribes of Israel to be a priest, to offer on my altar, to burn incense, and to wear the ephod before me, and I gave to your father's house all the burnt offerings of the children of Israel. Why have you trampled underfoot my sacrifice and my food offering, which I commanded in my dwelling place, and honor your children more than me, to be fattened with the chief of all the offerings of my people Israel? Therefore, says the Lord God of Israel, truly I said that your house and your father's house would walk before me forever, but now says the Lord, far be it from me to do such a thing, for those who honor me I will honor, but those who despise me will be despised. Behold, the days are coming when I will cut off your arm and the arm of your father's house, so that there will be no elder in your house. And thou shalt see the distress of the dwelling of God, instead of all the good that he had done to Israel, nor shall there be an elder in your house for all days. The man, however, whom I do not uproot from my altar will consume your eyes and make your soul sad, and all the multitude of your household will die when they reach manhood. And this will be a sign to you, namely, what will happen to your 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, both will die on the same day. And I will raise up for myself a faithful priest, who will do according to my heart and my soul, and I will build him a firm house, and he will always walk before my anointed. And it shall come to pass, that all that is left of thy house shall bow down to him for a piece of silver and for a morsel of bread, and shall say, I pray thee, admit me to some priestly office, that I may eat a morsel of bread. Bread. 1 Samuel 3. And young Samuel served the Lord before Eli, and the word of the Lord was of great value in those days, there was no manifest vision. And it came to pass that day, as Eli lay in his place, and his eyes began to grow dim, for he could not see. And when Samuel was already lying down, before the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was. The Lord called Samuel, and he said, Here I am. And he ran to Eli, and said, Here I am, because you called me. But he said, "Didn't I call you, lie down again?" And he went and lay down. And the Lord called again to Samuel, and Samuel arose, and went to Eli, and said, "Here I am, because you called me." But he said, "Didn't I call you, my son, lie down again?" But Samuel did not yet know the Lord, and the word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. So the Lord called Samuel again the third time, and he arose, and went to Eli, and said, "Here I am, because you called me." Then Eli understood that the Lord was calling the young man. Therefore Eli said to Samuel, "Go lie down, and it shall come to pass, that if I call you, you shall say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant hears.'" So Samuel went and lay down in his place. Then the Lord came and stood there and called as at other times, "Samuel, Samuel." And Samuel said, "Speak, for thy servant heareth." And the Lord said to Samuel, "Behold, I am going to do a thing in Israel at which both ears of everyone who hears of it will tingle. That very day I will stir up against Eli all that I have spoken against his house, I will begin and finish. For I already let him know that I will judge his house forever, for the iniquity which he well knew, because, making his sons execrable, he did not rebuke them. Therefore I have sworn to the house of Eli that his iniquity will never be atoned for, either by sacrifice or food offering." And Samuel lay until morning, and then he opened the doors of the house of the Lord, but Samuel feared to relate this vision to Eli. Then he called Eli to Samuel, and said, "Samuel, my son." And he said, "Here I am." And he said, "What is the word that he spoke to you? I ask you not to cover me up, so may God make you, and more, if you conceal from me any word of all that I have spoken to you." Then Samuel told him all those words, and nothing concealed from him. And he said, "He is the Lord, do what seems good in his eyes." And Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and none of his words did he let fall to the ground. And all Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, knew that Samuel was established as a prophet of the Lord. And the Lord continued to appear in Shiloh, for the Lord manifested himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of the Lord. 1 Samuel 4. And the word of Samuel came to all Israel, and Israel went out to battle against the Philistines, and encamped by Ebenezer, and the Philistines encamped in Aphek. And the Philistines arrayed themselves in array to go out against Israel, and when the battle was extended, Israel was smitten before the Philistines, for they slew about 4,000 men in battle in the field. And when the people returned to the camp, the elders of Israel said, "Why has the Lord smitten us today before the Philistines? Let us bring the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of Shiloh, and let it come among us, that it may deliver us from the hand of our enemies." So he sent the people to Shiloh, and they brought from there the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, which dwells between the cherubim, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of God. And it came to pass, when the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp, that all Israel shouted with great joy, until the earth shook. And the Philistines, hearing the voice of joy, said, "What voice of great joy is this in the camp of the Hebrews?" Then they heard that the ark of the Lord was coming to the camp. Therefore the Philistines were afraid, for they said, "God has come to the camp." And they said more, "Woe to us! Such has never happened before. Woe to us! Who will deliver us from the hand of these great gods? These are the gods who struck the Egyptians with all the plagues in the desert. Be strong and be men, you Philistines, lest you serve the Hebrews as they served you, therefore be men, and fight." Then the Philistines fought, and Israel was smitten, and every man fled to his tent, and the damage was so great, that 30,000 footmen fell out of Israel. And the ark of God was taken, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, died. Then a man of Benjamin ran from the battle, and came to Shiloh the same day, and he had his clothes torn, and earth on his head. And when he came, behold, Eli was sitting on a chair, looking towards the way, because his heart trembled for the ark of God. So when that man entered the city to announce this, the whole city shouted. And Eli, hearing the cries, said, "What is this uproar?" Then came that man in haste, and came, and told Eli. And Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were so darkened that he could no longer see. And that man said to Eli, "I am he that come from battle, because I fled today from the battle." And he said, "What happened, my son?" Then he who brought the news answered and said, Israel fled from before the Philistines, and there was also a great slaughter among the people, and besides, also your 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, died, and the ark of God was taken. And it came to pass, as he made mention of the ark of God, that Eli fell backward from his chair beside the door, and his neck was broken, and he died, because the man was old and heavy, and he had judged Israel 40 years. And when his daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, was pregnant and about to give birth, and when she heard the news that the ark of God had been taken and that her father-in-law and her husband had died, she bowed down and gave birth, because the pains have overtaken him. And as she was dying, the women who were with her said, Do not be afraid, for you have borne a son. But she did not answer, nor did she take any notice of it. And she called the child Ichabod, saying, The glory is departed from Israel, because the ark of God was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband. And she said, The glory is taken away from Israel, for the ark of God is taken. 1 Samuel 5. So the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. The Philistines took the ark of God, and placed it in the house of Dagon, and set it beside Dagon. But when they of Ashdod rose early the next day, behold, Dagon was fallen on his face to the ground, before the ark of the Lord, and they took Dagon, and set him again in his place. And rising early the next day, in the morning, behold, Dagon was lying on his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord, and the head of Dagon and both palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold, only the stump was left to Dagon. Therefore neither the priests of Dagon nor any of those who enter the house of Dagon tread the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod to this day. But the hand of the Lord was severe on the people of Ashdod, and devastated them, and he smote them with hemorrhoids, at Ashdod and in his terms. Then when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, Let the ark of the God of Israel not remain with us, for his hand is hard on us, and on Dagon our God. Therefore they sent messengers and gathered all the princes of the Philistines to themselves, and said, What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they answered, The ark of the God of Israel shall be brought to Gath. So they brought the ark of the God of Israel there. And it came to pass, as soon as they had carried it away, that the hand of the Lord came upon that city, with a very great vexation, for he slew the men of that city, from the small to the great, and they had hemorrhoids in their private parts. So they sent the ark of God to Ekron. But it came to pass, when the ark of God came to Ekron, that those of Ekron exclaimed, saying, They have carried the ark of the God of Israel to us, to kill us and our people. And they sent and gathered together all the princes of the Philistines, and said, Send the ark of the God of Israel, and let it return to its place, that it slay neither us nor our people. For there was mortal vexation throughout the whole city, and the hand of God was very grievous there. And the men who didn't die were so stricken with hemorrhoids that the clamor of the city rose to the sky. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and make a comment.